Welcome to the very first edition of the FPLScope podcast here on the FPLScope YouTube channel. This is our first piece of FPL content on YouTube, but you might recognize the brand from my website, thevideoscope.com. Sorry. I've made a preseason guide along with my co-host Kevin the last few seasons before the season, and it's gotten a lot of traffic and done pretty well. So hopefully some of you guys have seen the Videoscope branding by now. But this is our first podcast. Basically, I know both Kevin and Kimo from different parts of my life. And when we all got together for the first time a couple months ago, we went to a pub and watched football games, talked about FPL all day. And we basically decided, hey, let's start with a FPL podcast. So here we are.
So it was a sad memory for me, Manchester City against Real Madrid.
Okay, yeah. That was the semifinals or quarterfinals, I can't remember, in the Champions League when
3-2
Real Madrid beat City.
Semifinals.
And none of us were happy with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I will just present myself before I present these other two fine gentlemen. I'm Mathias. I come from Norway, which is usually a good sign in FPL. Norwegians tend to do pretty well in FPL. I think we had the world #1 not too long ago. The world's greatest chess player, Magnus Carlsen, is obviously a famous FPL player. He's been number 1 and he finished number 10, I think, one season. So yeah, Norwegians have a pretty good pedigree in terms of FPL, and Egyptians and Swedish people as well. Sri Lankans, I don't really know. I'm in a Sri Lankan or a league with Kevin and most of his Sri Lankans family, and I won that league 3 years in a row, and now I've gone three years back to back without winning. So anyways,
Egyptians, just to mention, we are the second highest FPL managers in this season. So it's over all 10 million players.
In terms of points or in terms of participants?
No, participants. So the first country is England, of course. I think it's over 2.5 millions, and Egyptians are second with around 1 million. So it's pretty popular in Egypt as well. So yeah.
Anyways, I'll present you guys later, but I'll just go through my own thing first. I support West Ham. I support West Ham in the Premier League, which is sometimes to the detriment for me in FPL. And it might even be for the next few game weeks, as we'll discuss later. My best FPL memory actually involves both of my co-hosts. It is from the 2018-2019 season. And as you can see from the top FPL ranks from all of us, that's the highest finishing season for Kevin. Basically, Kevin and I were competing for the #1 spot in his league, in the most important mini league for me. And I was behind him by like 30 points or something with the last 2 game weeks in hand. And I told Kimo, who didn't know Kevin at this point, I told him Wilfried Zaha is a really good option the final 2 game weeks. He played against Cardiff, scored a goal, got bonus. And then in the final game, he had 2 assists. And I think he got some bonus as well, which was enough for me to beat Kevin in yet another season. There's also another player I should mention in regards to this story, which is Eden Hazard, but we'll talk more about that in a couple weeks. When I'm in London and we can both make our case for one of us being a Judas and one of us not being a Judas. But
looking forward.
He's a Judas, but yeah, go on.
We'll see. Anyways, as for my top FPL rank, it's pretty high. I'm pretty proud of it. It's from the 11-12 season, though, so it's pretty far away from now. I finished 1,348 in the world.
Good one.
That was really the finals. That was the final season before I met Kevin, and then it went just downhill since then. Pretty much. But no, not really, because
the Kevin effect.
The Kevin effect. No, I've actually had some pretty good seasons. The last few seasons, I think in 9 out of the last 12 seasons, I finished top 69k or better, which is nice, I guess.
Sure.
I have a lot of good ranks previously. This year, maybe not so much, but we'll get to that later. First, I'll just introduce my second co-host, which is Kevin. I basically met Kevin in 2012, as I mentioned, when I went to London to study at university. Both me and Kevin studied journalism, and we bonded through football and FPL. And Kevin can take it from there, talk about his FPL history, his history, meeting me, which was the best day of his life. And then,
Quite the introduction you gave yourself. Fair enough.
Thank you.
I mean, in terms of me, hi, my name is Kevin, Swedish, Sri Lankan, who supports Everton, and it's basically just been a roller coaster of emotions with Everton because we are trash, but I'll always love Everton, and we'll just go from there, I guess. I mean, I can't sound really happy because I am desperately trying to get rid of Frank Lampard, but here we are. In regards to FPL, I'm very much a manager who gets bored. I'm very much someone who plays with emotions. I pick players based on feelings rather than XG and all that type of stuff. It's worked out really well in the past with certain players like Stephen Ireland back in the day.
Oh, don't remind me, 2009, 2008.
Yeah, and
it was annoying. Yeah.
But I've also done really stupid things like, oh, Aaron Ramsey scored against Fulham, I got to bring him in, and then he was terrible for 3 weeks in a row. But I guess in terms of my best FPL memory, it has to be Emmanuel Dennis. It was just so random. I brought him in because I was trying to bring in Son or Kane. I believe it ended up being Son, and to save money, I brought in Emmanuel Dennis. I'm like, oh, he scored a goal or something. Then he got 14 points against Manchester United, which was
very bizarre.
Very bizarre. It was the game that basically sacked OGS. So even funnier little moment for me because Matthias was always backing OGS. So yeah, it was a fun
Matthias
double
is Norwegian. Yeah, I forgot.
He's
Norwegian, yeah.
And then in terms,
countrymen.
And I guess in terms of top FPL rank, 20K during the 18-19, I didn't get much wrong that year, except something that we'll discuss in a couple of weeks' time when Matthias decided to screw me over. And yeah, I captained Solomon Rondon, who I hate at Everton currently, but I captained him at Newcastle during this random game week where no one played and got 24 points from him. So
yeah, I remember having Solomon Rondon at my team, but not as a captain. He had some good season at West Bromwich, I think, if I was not mistaken. 4 years ago or 5 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. That's basically it for Kevin, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then I'll introduce the final co-host of this podcast. It is a man I until a few months ago I knew him as Ahmed, but now his name is Kimo. His name in Egypt.
I was just gonna say, who's Kimo? No, my name is Ahmed. No. I'll take it from there. No. It's why my request to have my name is Kimo, and my name is Ahmed. It's on paper. Every paper I have, it's Ahmed. But when you live in a country with 100 million people, at least 30 million people called Ahmed. So you have to be more creative. And if you go in the street in Egypt and you say Ahmed, and at least 100 people will say, oh, who are you calling? So basically everybody is called Ahmed or Muhammad or whatever in Egypt. They have to have a nickname or a second name. So my nickname is Kimo. This is the name that most of my friends call me. This is the name that I'm really comfortable with and really happy with. So great to be here with you guys. And as you mentioned, Matthias, we met around 2018, if I'm not mistaken. We were working together at some place in Oslo in a kindergarten. That was the job that I got when I first moved to Norway.
I'm
Egyptian, yeah.
No. Where I still work. Yeah.
No. I meant like for the people who doesn't know us pretty well. But yeah, I'm originally from Egypt. I moved to Norway around 6 years ago, and I live in Oslo. And when we met, I remember so much. Most of our breaks, our discussion during the work or so on, we worked together. It was all about either football or Fantasy Premier League, mostly Fantasy Premier League, how our teams, how we're doing. So it had to happen. And when I met you and Kevin in Oslo this year in the Champions League game, we talked only about the Fantasy Premier League during the game and before and after. So it had to make sense. We are passionate players. We play the game since 2008, which is a pretty long time for the average manager. It was around that time, at least 1 million people or less who were playing the game. So we were one of the first managers historically to play the Fantasy Premier League game. So I'm from Egypt and I don't have a team. As you can see, I have a Pep Guardiola picture instead of who do I support. The reason
and you have a Leicester kit as well.
Yes. It's a historical Leicester City kit. It's not that team. It's just like that. I love the moment where they won the league out of the blue, and I just needed to cherish that moment and buy the t-shirt. So yeah. So Pep Guardiola is a big inspiration for me. My original team is Milan in the Serie A, so it makes sense that I put Pep Guardiola in the Premier League, which actually it makes it really comfortable for me because I don't support a team, so I don't have to pick a player, a defender from a team I support and pray to God that they don't concede and so on. So I played with more relaxed pace, as you can say it. So I just love Pep Guardiola. He's a great manager. He's a great influence. And if he moved from the Premier League to somewhere else, you wouldn't find his picture. I would have just put Milan as a logo. And when it comes to my best FPL memory, you don't see a player just like you. It's my picture at 2009, precisely in Jan, and I was ranked number 11 in the world. And I was number one in the country. I was number one in Egypt, number one manager, in the home page. It was a great moment. It was one of the best moments of my life when it comes to, in general life, and one of the best moments in my life when it comes to Fantasy Premier League. Not so often that you climb up the ranks in the middle of the season and be in the top 10 or top 20. And that happened to me. And I stayed in the top 20 for like quite a long time, I would say some weeks and so on. And the reason for that I just like you, Kevin, when you say you captained Dennis, or you had Dennis against Manchester United and he bizarrely scored 14 points. I actually had captained that week Martin Laursen from Denmark when he played at Aston Villa against Chelsea, which is, why did I do that? I don't know. I don't remember. I was playing more comfortably, no data, no stats, no XG. And I was just doing what my heart tells me. And that season I made like a really weird decision. I had like Clint Dempsey, captain, he got me a hat-trick. I had Santa Cruz and David Bentley at Blackburn, 2 goals, 2 assists, and I was buying so many random people with low ownership. And that's why I had a really good season. And as you can see, my highest rank is 12,000. It's not like the best rank ever. In the future, I will be more, but I have also been playing the game for so many years. I had like some seasons where I didn't play the game just around 2011, 2012. It was a revolution in Egypt, very complicated political situation there, and my mind was busy with something else. So I took a break. I came back around 2016, 17, and right on the season, I got a really high rank of 27,000. And also in 2018-19, I got 62K, which is a good rank. And also last season, I had 28K, which is top 1% overall in the world. So I have a decent history, but the reasons where I don't do good in one season is because I play emotionally. I really don't like to follow the stats and everything. Eye test for me is essential. And this is where I'm trying to combine this season, a little bit of mix of statistic and eye test, and let's see where we go. This is me.
Yeah, that's all of us introduced, basically. As you might have noticed, we all have some history, at least, in Scandinavian countries. We all speak Scandinavian languages. Both me and Kimo speak Norwegian fluently. Kevin doesn't speak Norwegian, but he speaks Swedish, which is understandable enough for us, even though he's from Skåne, which is a really thick accent. But we decided
what a picture that I have. I'm sorry, it feels so embarrassing, but really cool.
Yeah,
I was 21 years old, but full of excitement about FPL.
Yeah.
Speaking of embarrassing, by the way, I'm about to no-look your your whole nationality away. You're Egyptian who hates Mohamed Salah. What's going on with that?
No, that's a bad reputation. I hate to have him in my fantasy team only this season, but I love him. I love him so much as a person and as a player as well. But this season, me and him are no longer friends. You know why?
Fair enough. I just had to clear it up for the viewers.
Thank you.
Yeah. As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by you guys. We all speak Scandinavian languages. We could have had this podcast in a different language, but we decided to do it on English. Yeah, you got a prime example there that I'm not a native English speaker, but yeah, that's one of my points. But yeah, we decided to do it in English to reach a broader audience. So yeah, obviously English is not the first language of either me or Kimo. I think it's the first language of Kevin, actually, even though he's Swedish, Sri Lankan.
He lives sadly in London, not in Liverpool.
He went to international school and everything, so his English should be impeccable. But me and Kimo, we will make some mistakes. We'll all do some mistakes when it comes to player names and stuff.
Sakamaka.
A couple of famously, when we did a test a couple of weeks ago, we tried to do the West Ham Italian striker, and Kimo's pronunciation was Sakamaka, which is not entirely correct.
I ask it my Italian friends. We'll come to the Zerbi when we speak about Brighton later, but I have my Italian friends as a source for pronouncing the Italian name. So we'll come to that all over the season. Whenever an Italian player do good, I will go to Carlo, Francesco, Federico, and they will be recording audio for you guys. Yeah.
But obviously, there are not only drawbacks with different countries and nationalities. We have different perspectives, and we also, in terms of pronunciations and stuff, I know a couple of Norwegian players in Fantasy Premier League. There's a pretty good one named Haaland, not Haaland. And there's also another guy named Ødegaard, not Odegaard. So we have some pronunciations we know that most people don't really use. Yep. But yeah. Anyways, we're here to talk about FPL, and we'll move on to the table of contents. That is basically, we're going through everything we were talking about today. First, we'll just have we'll just have a run through of our teams, our Gameweek 1 team and our Gameweek 12 team. We'll see what we did to start FPL and what we did last week, which mistakes we made. I made quite a few. The next thing on the table of contents is the fixture ticker. When we look towards the future in FPL, we want to see the fixtures first. So yeah, we'll take a closer look at that with some team stats included. The third table of contents is Make the Case, which is basically our version of players to watch. This is basically a running theme throughout the whole podcast, that we have the number 1 pick, which is me this week, number 2 pick, which is Kevin this week, and number 3 pick, which is Kimo this week. We'll rotate this every week, who has number 1, number 2, and number 3 pick. But basically, in Make the Case, I get the first pick for the category. And today, in this edition of the podcast, the category is the most essential Game Week 13 transfer in, because both City and Arsenal have finished with their blank game week, and now they have very good matches coming up. So they are in high demand, but Liverpool players are also in high demand. So we'll make a case for 1 player each. I'll have number 1 pick. Kevin will pick a different person than me, and then Kimo will pick a different person than us two, and we'll make the case for each of our players. The fourth table of content is weekly wildcard drafts. Basically, it says everything in the name. Every week we'll do a wildcard draft, and it will actually be a draft, because like with To Make the Case, I'll have number 1 pick, Kevin number 2 pick, Kimo number 3 pick, and we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 until we reached 15 players, and we have a full wildcard draft. And this is something we'll do every week.
Yeah. Then
finally, we will end on the Game Week 13 plans. We'll look ahead to the next game week in terms of captaincy and transfers. This week is very interesting, actually, because both me and Kimo have saved our wildcards until now. So we're actually gonna
reveal.
We're gonna reveal our wildcards. Well, Kevin has gone the route that most of you guys probably have gone through, the viewers, and that's using your wildcard in Game Week 8 or 9. Kevin used this in Game Week 8, and now he has a transfer to make, and it's a pretty obvious one, but we'll get to that later on. Anyways, this is my Game Week 1 team. I've talked for quite a bit now. I want to open this up to you guys. What is the biggest mistake I did out of the many mistakes I did in Game Week 1? Kimo,
you know I was gonna go ahead first. You know what I'm gonna say. You probably know by heart.
I know.
Neto and Bailey. I think we had like a conversation before the season starts in August or something, and I was really not convinced by everyone on Twitter, everyone on social media. Everyone was making drafts about Neto and Bailey just because they are cheap playing forward, but they are playing in teams with no attacking returns. And I saw this coming. I knew I will not do this trap because they will drop in price, and that happened for you. You lost around 0.4 in Neto. Something like that. So that was a big mistake, but you also have done really good choice, and I should have listened to you going on early on Trippier. That's really fascinating. So I'm Boyan as well. If you were patient, if you were not patient, but yeah, but Neto and Bailey was really not a good choice.
Yeah, I'll just explain the Neto thing for a bit. Ever since he got in, or right before he got injured, basically a couple seasons ago under Nuno Espirito Santo, he showed a lot of promise. I've always been a huge fan ever since I saw his highlight video when he joined Wolverhampton, and I thought when he's fit and ready to go, I'm gonna get him. He's probably going to be 6.0 or 6.5. I don't care. I'm going to get him anyway. And then I was like, 5.5. I have to get him. He's nailed. Yeah. He never left my team in in the preseason. Seriously,
absolutely,
never.
Yeah.
And I picked
was he joining from Barcelona, if I remember correctly?
He joined from Lazio, but that's a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
But anyways, I picked him over Martinelli, obviously, which is not a good choice. I corrected this mistake with getting Martinelli in Gameweek 3. Yeah. But with, not getting Martinelli was basically down to just looking at Arsenal and the amount of talent they had up front. They had Gabriel Jesus, who's going to play every game. Saka, going to play every game. Odegaard, going to play every game. So I figured when Fabio Vieira needs to play, when Nketiah needs to play, when Smith Rowe needs to play, who's going to get sacrificed? Martinelli. But I didn't expect Martinelli to go up a level and basically become the best winger in the league this season, I think. So he's been really good. Gonna talk more about him later.
But you have a phobia of minutes per player. I think since I know you very well, you always get scared when a player is not really nailed. So
that's true, and I have a recent example of that as well, which we'll get to in the Gameweek 12 team.
Fair enough.
Before we move on to Gameweek 12 team and that player in question, Kevin, what's the biggest mistake apart from Neto? Because you made the same mistake with Neto, so
or a biggest compliment, I think. Yeah.
Or biggest compliment. You can do both. My biggest mistake. And
I'm starting with biggest mistake because I warned you. I warned you several times. Do not double up on Liverpool defenders because. Look, I understand the reasoning behind bringing Robertson in because Robertson ended the season really strong and was better than Trent in a lot of places. But I warned you specifically about that. And we will get into my team because there is a bit of a difference that gave me extra points compared to you. But we'll save that. But also... I also told you to play Walker. I do remember saying, play your City defenders. Who cares that they're playing West Ham? You need to that's where you're allowed to play a Bowen, but maybe bench Bailey for Walker or something like that. I definitely remember saying that. The praise that I can give you for the team is that Neco Williams, you believed in him, and in the beginning,
he's in everyone's team. Come on.
Yeah, but you know what?
That's the worst compliment
as well.
I've
ever he's been
had.
terrible until his last game.
maybe I'm just teasing him a little bit.
I mean, Kevin basically has the same team as me, except he doesn't have all the mistakes. So anything he'll praise me for, he would have done this game. So.
He will praise himself there. But one thing about against Kevin in the Liverpool double up defense, I really never loved the Liverpool double up defense in any of the previous seasons, even though that it can deliver really, really well. But also no one could see that the triple start that Liverpool had in the beginning of the season. No one, even I was the one who didn't double up in Liverpool defense, but I only had Arnold. But no one could see the triple start, and also everybody was tripling up in Liverpool, either two in the midfield and one in the defense. So it's just like the case of the bad start of Liverpool that made everyone steam as a joke and laughable when you look back at we'll come to my team later and we'll laugh so hard.
I'll just quickly explain the thing again. I wasn't actually that sold on Trent Alexander-Arnold. I was more sold on Robertson because from Gameweek 5 last season until the end, he outscored Alexander-Arnold. So I thought I'll just get Robertson and not Trent. And then as the time went by, everyone was like, oh, Trent should be 9.0, he should be 9.5. Remember that? When people wanted defenders to be that price, now you have the answer. You don't price them that highly because the lower term defenders like Trippier 5.0 produces at a super high level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't get the same midfielders for 5.0 like you get Trippier. So that whole discussion was really stupid, but I fell for it. I went for Trent Alexander-Arnold at the same time as Robertson.
Let's laugh at Kevin's team, but first you're...
yeah, sure. And just the final point as well. Up until the last moment, I had a 3-meme team with Salah, Haaland, and Kane, but then I switched to Bowen and Wilson
big mistake
later on, which was obviously a big mistake. But yeah, speaking of mistakes, Chilwell is the player I mentioned in terms of minutes played. I took a risk and knew he was a potential rotation risk, but I figured he can get 15 points at any game week. They have 3 really good fixtures coming up. Of course they did. They got 3 clean sheets and Chilwell played in one of the games.
Yeah. And I warned you about Chilwell.
Sure,
I said Chalobah,
just a moment ago you said you shouldn't worry about the minutes played, and now it's minutes, whatever. Chilwell is a thing of the past. I'm never having a Chelsea player ever again. That's it. That's final. Whatever. I don't care. It's done. Anyways, I made 2 transfers. I made Madison to Trossard. Madison had to get a yellow card. Everyone knows that. I went from De Bruyne to Salah, to captain Salah against West Ham, basically as a cover. I wanted to captain Trossard, but I figured everyone else is bringing in Salah and captaining him against West Ham. I might as well do it as well, just to guard my feelings. Obviously, Salah blanked and the West Ham lost anyway, so worst case scenario. But
just one question here: why didn't you sell Jesus if you are wildcarding this week, just like me? Why didn't you take a punt on someone as a forward instead of Jesus?
Because that would have been a -4 to probably not get a gain. So I figured.
Okay, I'll show you what a punt means later.
I had 11 players potentially. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, as you can see, there's a star by the points, which counts for all of us. We all have Andreas left, but I have Mitrovic left, which you guys don't.
He's starting. I just got the lineup. He's starting.
Speaking of that, we are recording right before the Fulham Aston Villa game, so we don't really know the score. That's why the score is provisional at this point in time. Yeah, that is my Gameweek 12 team. I have my wildcard in hand. Luckily, I'm going to get rid of most of these players. But let's go to Kevin's team. And Kevin, you can just take it from here. You can open up to us if you want.
Just for the people who's listening to us on audio, Kevin's Gameweek 1 team. So
absolutely.
Gameweek 1 team.
As you can see, I think the big difference between Mathias is the fact that I spread it out a little bit with.
Cancelo, I had to see it.
Cancelo was for me always on my team. He was like number 1 on my team because I constantly see this guy. He is so wasteful, but he constantly produces random things, like against Southampton, the 18-pointer and all this type of stuff. So Cancelo for me was always going to be in the team. Trippier was one of these guys that we all knew he had this sort of potential, but by George, he's done it. He actually is going to stay in my team no matter what. It doesn't matter if he's playing Liverpool away. Like, I still expect him to do something cool, sort of thing. And, it's good to know that we were on the boat in the sense of we had him from the get-go, and he's just going to continue producing points for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
The difference that I did instead of going with both Trent and Robertson was I got Reece James in, who, for me, was wonderful until Mathias got him, and then he got injured and is going to miss everything. So
he wasn't wonderful. He was lucky.
Yeah.
The reason the reason I didn't get James was because Tuchel was manager. He used him at right center back, so he's not that attacking, and he's injury prone as he's shown now.
I disagree, but because last season Tuchel was a manager and he returned a lot.
Sure, at some points, but he started playing him at right center back towards the end of the season, and he did that and got sacked for it. So good riddance. Tuchel, and good riddance to James as well, got injured. Good riddance to Chelsea. I don't want to speak about
someone's talking with emotions.
I want to bring up it's kind of praise, but it's also kind of not, because Trossard is on your bench. Sure. You've had Trossard before and after his really good run of form. You had him Gameweek 1, Gameweek 2, and then you sold him, as you'll see, and then we'll see your future team. But Trossard basically is one of the top scoring midfielders, and you've had him for 4 out of 12 game weeks, and he hasn't returned much at all for you.
No,
but having the faith in him, I think I sort of influenced you with that. I am a big fan of Trossard, but he didn't really produce for you before you got sold. So that's that, I guess. Anything else to say about your Gameweek 1 team, Kevin? Or
I guess another thing was I didn't do the Ward Iverson double up as a lot of people did to begin with. I trusted Ramsdale to produce some points, and he did, and I was very happy with that because, as you can see, I try to spread it out as much as I can with defense, because even though I've had Pope, and you're about to see, I did double up on one team. I always prefer keeping it where you can spread it out and get the best points possible.
Yeah. As the other point for me, it's your Gameweek 1 team and my Gameweek 1 team are really similar. We both have Trent, we both have Trippier, we both have Salah, Neto, Bailey, Wilson, Haaland, Jesus. We both have Ward, we both have Andreas, we both have Nico Williams. But the players that you have that I don't have produced well for you, and the ones I did and you didn't
I'm so glad as well that you lost some value on it on Bailey, but I mean, like all of us had Haaland from the start. That's a really wise decision, because otherwise it should have been a madness if you started the season without Haaland. I never had a doubt, but yeah, we'll come to my team later. We'll speak about that.
Yeah, Kevin's Gameweek 12 team.
Kevin? Yeah, not great. Not great. I mean, what can I really say? I mean, obviously the thing that I said not to do, I did, and I got 15 points from Pope and Trippier. But yeah, generally speaking, I guess I'm happy with this team. I think Tony was kind of unlucky yesterday not to score against Chelsea, because Kepa
really unlucky,
very unlucky to not score. Trossard hit the post and hit the bar and all this type of stuff. Could have easily gone returns there. And in terms of Wilson, he just didn't get the supply at all. Like I think Almiron scored a very nice finesse shot.
Very typical Almiron. It's so annoying to see him scoring.
He's there's a very famous Gattuso meme. I think that is very applicable to
sometimes bad, sometimes
exactly. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
But and also Mason Mount, which I sent the video to Matthias, he should have scored. Broja could have easily just given him a tap in, and he just kept looking down. He just kept looking down like this and try to dribble past 3 players instead of just passing the free man.
He's a Chelsea player. Never bring in a Chelsea player.
I never got really the hype around Mount. Some weeks ago, around like this week and 2 weeks ago, I think he scored, and there's so many people talking about Mount. I never really got the hype, because the thing is, I don't trust Chelsea in terms of attacking returns. They don't score so many goals as City or Liverpool or Arsenal or even Leicester. I mean, they just like really satisfy those 1 or 2-0. So you never know where are the goals are coming. You have Aubameyang, you have Sterling, you have Mount, you have Havertz, very random goal scorers. So I never really got the hype about Mount, and he's not doing his best season yet. It's just like
sure. But if you look at more recent stats and stuff like that in favor of Mount, he's been actually pretty decent for Chelsea. Created the most chances, taken the most shots in the box, and all this type of stuff. And Mount is notoriously known for being a really streaky player. Same like Jamie Vardy. Like if you're on the train, you get the points. If you're not, you're not. And that's why I took a punt, because Brentford have been really up and down as well.
Yes. We'll come to that later, because I have the goalkeeper at my Wildcard. But
absolutely. And I guess in terms of captain, I was originally going to captain Trossard before Salah's, goal against City. But, when we thought about the whole situation, he scored a hat-trick so quickly in that Champions League games against Rangers, then scores against City. And the goal that he scored, you can argue
really shows so much about Salah.
You can really say something like, oh, Cancelo could have done better, but you have to give praise to Salah for turning him.
World class,
Yeah, it was world class. And the finish to dink it rather than... it just shows that Salah has that potential to be great. But I'm going to be a not very nice person and call him a pen merchant, because he can only score when there's penalties. So yeah.
Totally not true. Now the Egyptian is going to defend. But it's just like a very boring pick, I would say. It's I understand. Absolutely. I have him as a captain as well, but what else? In the absence of Haaland, you have very little option.
It's finally had the option to captain someone else in Haaland.
When I come to my team, I'll show you why did I pick Salah. Because
before we move on to your team, I just want to touch on one more thing. Kevin's not Gameweek 12 team necessarily, but the chips used. You've used both your bench boost and your wildcard already. So talk more about the decisions for Gameweek.
Yeah, okay. We can start with the bench boost. So previous years with bench boost, it's either gone like swimmingly or terrible. The main thing was last year when I did the bench boost, it did okay. But the reasoning why I don't want to wait for a double or triple game week was last year when I did the bench boost, it was in servitude of a double or triple game week. And the issue there was my whole team suffered because I was waiting for certain transfers and all this type of stuff, building towards this one game week. So for me, I was just like, you know what? I don't have the worst bench in the world. and I think I got like 15, 16 points. So I was just like, you know what? I'm actually more than happy with that. I think it's a serviceable bench boost because the weekend before, so in game week 5 or 4, I benched Trippier against City, and he scored that wonderful free kick simply because I very stupidly went, okay, well, they're gonna concede, so I think he's gonna be screwed there. And that's the same thing I did with Reece James. I was just like, oh, Reece James is playing Spurs. He's gonna concede. They did concede. It ended 2-2. But guess who scored? Reece James.
Reece James, yes, I had him at the game.
Yeah, so for me, it was just more like when I'm doing stuff like that, I'm just like, you know what? I have a good enough team that they'll deliver. And I don't remember exactly the bench boost, but yeah, you got me 16 points, so decent enough.
Yeah, I think it might have been a bit inspired by me as well, because in my FPL guide before the season on thevideoscope.com, that's another plug for you, I actually had the same reasoning for using your bench boost at the first and best opportunity, because I had the same experience as you last season. I got a really good score with my bench boost, but the previous like 7 or 8 game weeks, I suffered because I had a really expensive bench. I didn't get the third premium guy. I didn't get Son or De Bruyne like most people did. So I think I lost a lot of points in total from the bench boost. So getting rid of the bench boost and just being clear of mind when it comes to that chip is sometimes a good thing. But this season with the postponement, I should mention that as well. This bench boost was used, Kevin's bench boost was used before the postponements in Game Week 7 and Game Week 8, where we got more double game weeks. So it made more sense at the time than it does now. And the other point with that is that we have a 4.0 goalkeeper, we have 4.0 defenders, we have 4.5 midfielders. We don't usually have that, so we don't really have to have an expensive bench to have a playing bench. So that's why I felt like I should keep the bench boost, even though I said before.
I never really liked that chip. When it becomes so popular in the last few years, it lost its value. You know what I mean? Like if you're speaking the first 2 seasons when FPL has introduced a bench boost, so I think it made some reasons when the ones who had really prepared well for it, had some strategy, has some tactics, and you can use it by the game week 37 and 36. Then it was really useful. But in the last few years, I think it's more headache, and it gives you like a FOMO of missing out on double game week player, and then you forget that single game week players can really score 16 points and 15 points. So yeah, I never really loved it.
Yeah, but that's Kevin's Game Week 12 team. Now we move on to Kimo's Game Week 1 team, which is kind of different than ours. So I don't know what you want to talk about.
I'm different. I'm unique. So no. It's a mix between like a template of not going so wild of missing out on essential players, and also a mix of some differentials that I went on very early. And if I would say from you guys, start on criticizing my Game Week 1 team or give me a compliment, what would it be? I know the compliments, but the criticize.
It's a pretty solid team to be fair. It's just the one glaring defender missing is Cancelo, obviously.
Absolutely. Don't remind me.
I made the same mistake. Ait-Nouri has -1 in Game Week 1, but
he scored an own goal. Bizarrely, the first own goal of his life. He scored it.
Yeah. But Wolves actually kept some clean sheets at the start, so I can't really fault you for that either. I got to praise you for Madison. I had Bowen from the start, but Madison was my top pick out of the 8.0 midfielders.
Yeah.
You actually went for it and did Madison, and he did really well for you at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We all have Wilson as well. He was a decent pick before he got injured, as he always does. So I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, some story about Wilson. I saw like he has like a small podcast short version with Michael Antonio, the West Ham striker, and I saw like a small episode just before the Game Week 1, and he was betting with Antonio that, I want to go to the World Cup. I feel like I'm sharp. I feel this season I'm fresh. I want to score the most goals. I will score more goals than you, Antonio, this season up until the World Cup. I want to be in the England squad. So I got like really turned on by this talk with from a football player. He's talking about fantasy, and he's going to score more points than another striker in West Ham. And I was like, okay, I'll buy him. And he scored. And he scored a goal again, a beautiful goal against City for me in Game Week 3. So speaking of that period that I owned him, it was really well. And Maddison, he picked up from the last season. Last season he was really on fire, and most of the goals scored at Leicester was because of Maddison. So I thought Vardy, I'm not sure about him. Is he going to play? He's getting older and so on. So I'll pick Maddison as a differential, and he did really well for me. I sold him at the first week where he didn't score anything, and I got him back in the game against Nottingham where he scored 2 goals and 1 assist or 2 assists, something like that. He got like 24 points. Yeah. So he did well for me. The only thing that I was really not satisfied at my game week 1, if I go back, I would definitely bring on Cancelo instead of Arnold. That would have got me really so many points. I would have been in the same level as Kevin, like around 200,000 or something around that. So I missed on a lot of holes of Cancelo. I lost a lot of value on his price. So, but yeah, here we go. We take it from there, and we'll go to my game week. Yeah.
One more flaw, which I also made. You have him as a season keeper. That's Ward. You had Ward and Everson. Like many. That was also a big mistake. Apart from Cancelo, that's the other big mistake in your team.
Yeah. Very big mistake. Never do it again.
See what goalkeeper you have and the rest of your team for Game Week 12.
Sanchez.
Better,
okay. Yeah, so this is my Game Week 12 team. It's a game week that we are on right now, and it's not even finished. We're waiting for the Fulham Aston Villa game as we're speaking. I have Sanchez in goal, Chalobah, my man. I'll talk about that later. Trippier, Perisic, Nico Williams, Salah, as we say in Egypt, not Salah, and Andreas Pereira, Wilfred Zaha, Trossard, Darwin Núñez, Tony, and the rest of the bench is not playing because of the postpone. So I made 3 transfers. One of them I was so forced to sell as everyone else. Maddison, he was on my team. He got a yellow card at the 95th minute. Yeah, it makes sense for me. Just before the price drop and the price rise, I made Maddison to Trossard. Everybody is doing the same. Trossard looked on fire under De Zerbi, which my Italian friends told me to say De Zerbi, not De Sherbi, as you guys thought. And yeah, I never thought twice about having Trossard on my team. And I really didn't want to do a -4, but yeah, I had to take a punt on Darwin Núñez. De Bruyne to Salah, that's for sure. Jesus to Darwin, and what a game he had yesterday. He actually could have scored a lot of points. I understand that Klopp got him he felt after the game, Klopp was interviewed and he said he felt something in the muscles. So it was not a tactical change as I thought in the first place. It's just like to protect him from the injury. So he could have got like 14 points. Really happy about his performance, and he proved that I did a good punt just to jump on him. Low ownership, but was unlucky for only 5 points. And
you'll make a case for him later, I think.
Later on. So I'm not going to end the stats. I had Zaha was 8 points. Nico Williams is my man. Got my clean sheet. I really never thought that it will be a clean sheet for Nico Williams in that week that I need him. And also Trippier, really disappointed about Sanchez. We're gonna come to that later when we come to my wildcard. But yeah, Tony could have scored just like everyone. I don't have really specific feeling about this game week. I'm really satisfied with 52 points when I made a -4. Yep. It looks like it couldn't have been much better, and I'm doing more than better than the average. But yeah, I feel like meh. Let's go forward to the next week. So yeah.
Yeah, just looking at the left-hand side, you can see our current ranks. Both me and you went up in the ranks, but that's because we have more ranks to gain. Well, Kevin is pretty high up already. He went down as of the recording, at least. I don't think Pereira can change anything there. But anyways,
one shout about Chalobah just before we move to the next slide. Chalobah, since I got him, he got me 3 clean sheets. Really proud about that choice. I saw he's a new man after Fofana's injury. He's a new man of Potter. So really happy about that. And I sold him just now, but I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, just to mention our ranks quickly, I'm around 1.7 million. Kevin is 185k, which is really good.
Wow.
And Kimo is 853k, which is also pretty decent at this point in the season.
Yeah, decent. We're over 10 million, so I'm happy.
Anyways, that is our game week history. Let's look to the future. And the first thing we do when we look at the future is the fixtures. The interesting thing about the fixture ticker now, I'll just explain more about the fixture ticker. These colors are probably known to you if you've ever been to Fantasy Football Scout. They have the same colors. They have dark blue for the easiest matches, dark red for the hardest matches. Oops, hang on, technical difficulties. Anyways, that's a bit of a spoiler. But yeah, the only thing I'll note in terms of the fixtures, we'll get to the stats as you almost saw there. Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool are 3 of the top 4 teams in terms of good fixtures. Not a lot of people have City, Arsenal, Liverpool players fill up. because of the blank, and Liverpool haven't been that good lately. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I'll just move on to the next slide where we get the expected goals in the last 6 matches. It says last 6 game weeks, but it's last 6 matches of every team, just to have everyone equal, because some teams haven't played in the last 6 game weeks.
Fair enough.
As you can see, it's color coded. Gold for City, they have been the best in terms of XG. Newcastle surprisingly have been the second best of XG the last 6 matches. And Arsenal are third. And in the bottom 3, you can see Wolverhampton, Bournemouth, and Southampton. I don't know what you guys think about the expected goals and fixtures. Do you have anything to say? Kevin, I'll open it up to you first. What stands out to you in terms of this fixture ticker and expected goals? Which teams do you want to target?
I think Man City is pretty obvious. 13.
Yeah, like I feel. I feel like everyone, generally speaking, especially from the top 4, we all have. Most people will have Zaha. Most people will have this. Most people will have that. So I feel like it's very obvious. I'm just shocked to see that Everton are so high up there.
No, that's not. It's in terms of fixtures. They're good.
Yeah,
in terms of XG, they're pretty terrible.
Exactly.
They're 4th worst actually.
Because we're good at not conceding too much, but we can't score. I mean, Calvert-Lewin has been out for. Calvert-Lewin has been. Missing for the entire season, basically. So now that he's back and running, maybe we can see that XG go up. But it's that's the only place where I'll see Everton so high up on the table in terms of a fixture list. So that's nice. That's a nice feeling.
Look at Arsenal. I mean, wow.
Yep,
I mean, 11.4 for the expected goals, and City. It makes sense for me to go on. When it comes to my wildcard later, when we're going to speak about my wildcard and yours, Mathias, that we are loading from both teams because they are the highest. They are the highest teams in terms of expected goals in the next game weeks, and also way huge difference between them and the other teams. And I'm really happy also as well to see West Ham with 9.6. West Ham has a really good fixture for me. They are really doing really well recently. I think they're going to shine with Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Leicester. Manchester United also can be a really good fixture in terms of goals. They usually have a historical goal festival when they meet each other. So I really like the look of Brentford fixtures. I don't know. I sold Tony. I know I made a big mistake, but Aston Villa and Wolverhampton, it can be really few goals in those games. So what about you, Mathias?
Just on the last point with Brentford, both Aston Villa and Wolves are bad teams. You can see it's the easiest fixture with the dark blue. But both Aston Villa and Wolverhampton like to sit back. There are not that many goals in their games.
Exactly, so that's my point.
Tony, he can always get a penalty. If they win 1-0 or 2-0, he can score. Personally, I'm looking more towards defensive things from Brentford. One last point on the XG. All 3 of us are not big fans of Solanke, but he's been scoring a lot of points lately. But it is totally unwarranted because Bournemouth have had the worst XG in the last 6 matches. So how he's gotten all these holes, while Newcastle have pretty much more than twice the amount of XG the last 6 game weeks. Callum Wilson, who Kevin hasn't scored nearly as much as Solanke, which is kind of a shame for Kevin, I guess. But anyways,
one thing about Fulham, they have Leeds and Everton in the next two game weeks, and Fulham has a very low expected goals. So I'm not sure about the ones who have Mitrovic, like you, Mathias. What would you feel?
We're going to see eventually if I keep Mitrovic or not. I have him this game week, but for the upcoming game weeks, maybe not. We'll see. But before that,
Crystal Palace has lovely fixtures. Everton, Southampton. I see a lot of goals. Like in the last 2 game weeks between Everton or 3 game weeks between Everton and Palace, there was a lot of goals. Southampton is a team that usually concede. West Ham is also a really good fixture for Crystal Palace, and Nottingham Forest. I don't see the point to discuss. It's just like the easiest fixture of them all.
As you're saying that with Crystal Palace, I realize I have made a mistake in terms of the color coding, because they are actually the worst team in terms of XG. Palace the last 6 game weeks.
Yeah.
If the stats are correct, I think they are correct. I'm pretty sure
the stats are correct. Yeah, the stats are correct. Yeah.
So, but as you saw with their last game,
they don't score much anyway.
They don't score much, but as you saw, Saha was at the end of it and got 8 points this game week. So
love it.
He's the main man. They don't really get that much XG. Let's move on to expected goals conceded instead and see if there's anything that stands out here. I'll take the first point here, and that is my own team, West Ham. They are shared number 1 with Newcastle. I've had Kurt Zouma, the cat kicker. I put my morals away and put him in my team, and I thought he would return a lot more points than he actually had. And the XGC actually proves that I sort of made the right decision. West Ham rarely concede goals. The most they've conceded this season is 2 goals in any game. They conceded 2 goals against Haaland in the first game week, and everyone thought like, oh, look at West Ham, they're not that good. They concede 2 goals. But as we've seen with Haaland, 2 goals is a pretty good achievement, actually, to keep him to only 2 goals. So West Ham have been solid defensively all season. I think you still should consider West Ham defenders for 4.5, but maybe you disagree. I don't know.
No, you changed my mind, actually, because I am actually looking for a defender right now in my wildcard. I'm not finished yet. I sent you like a draft of my wildcard, but really good to see those stats, and I'm really shocked. Not shocked in terms of the numbers in Liverpool expected goals conceded. They are the 3rd worst team in the league.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also Everton. I thought that Everton are more solid in terms of performance and the goal conceded in terms of how many goals that they have conceded in the last 6 game weeks. So I thought they are more solid, but having the stats over us, the 2nd worst team, that's really surprising, but really good for my Zaha pick. So next game. So
yeah, just one more thing about West Ham. They have a really good XGC, but they've also faced Tottenham, Liverpool, and Chelsea in that time frame. So that speaks even more to the West Ham defense. I think you should invest in them. Also, with the Newcastle numbers, they're joint top with West Ham with 4.41 expected goals conceded in the last 6 matches. Most of us did Pope and Trippier as goalkeeper and defender, and we've been blessed with a lot of points, and it's not without reason if you look at the XGC. So yeah, Kevin, anything that stands out to you?
Nothing per se other than the obvious things that we just discussed. I think in terms of Everton, the only thing that I can say in defense of my lovely club is the fact that due to the lack of attacking, we've just invited teams to just have more chances against us. And I think you'll see that the numbers will actually become better as we progress with the season because Calvert-Lewin is back and will be definitely we look better, and there are a lot of players who are back from injuries, including someone that we'll be discussing more in length in a little bit.
Yeah, it's also interesting to see Fulham. They're clearly the worst in terms of expected goals conceded.
Nice.
Yeah,
they face Leeds and Everton, so maybe Everton can get something there. And then they face Man City. They face Man City. Man City away in Game Week 15. But yeah, Sinister from Leeds, for example, or Rodrigo Kevin. Maybe you'll go back on that train. We'll see.
No.
but just one,
Rodrigo.
He's benched today.
Kimo.
It's just like, how on earth Nottingham Forest having the same expected goals conceded as Chelsea? And Chelsea have kept clean sheets in the last 3 game weeks.
Yeah.
That's also one thing, that the stats are not everything. You know what I mean? You need to have you need to have an idea about is the team conceding goals? Is the team performing well? What are the historical scores between the 2 teams and so on? So I would have never gone back in time and see all the stats about Nottingham Forest in terms of expected goals conceded and Chelsea. I would have still picked Chalobah, which got me 3 clean sheets, but and you would have still picked Chilwell as well. But I don't know. Maybe they have, because of the game against Brighton, they have enhanced their stats a little bit.
Brighton actually got quite a few. I think they got decent XG actually against Nottingham Forest. Famously, Brighton are the XG kings. As you can see with Brighton, they still have really good XG, even though haven't been that good lately under De Zerbi. They're still waiting for their first win. Anyways, that's the fixtures. It's obvious you should target Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal players.
Absolutely.
Next week you can potentially go into Newcastle players. You can see they're really good in terms of both XG and expected goals conceded. So they might come into my consideration for my wildcard. I don't have any players currently, but we'll see about that later. Almiron is interesting. Kevin has Wilson. I would not get rid of Wilson if I was Kevin.
No.
And they also have more midfielders. Saint Maximin still hasn't recovered fully. Bruno Guimaraes is one of my favorites. So they have a lot of good, interesting picks.
But Leeds players also, Mathias, is really, really good. But I would fancy Leeds to score against Liverpool. I would fancy Leeds to score against Fulham. I would fancy Leeds to score against Bournemouth as well. And Tottenham.
Yeah.
So I might think again about bringing a Leeds player. But yeah, we'll talk about that.
That's a good point, that they have the next 3 fixtures they have are teams that have performed
I'll
really
not
badly.
sleep well on Friday.
The goals conceded.
Yeah. I mean, considering the fact that Bamford missed the penalty against Arsenal, should have scored there too. So yeah, definitely.
It's a good point. That's why the fixtures and the stats are really combined together. It gives you a really good idea. And doing the podcast with you guys give me to rethink a little bit more. So it will make my Friday night a bit more difficult to sleep and think about not having Leeds player. But yeah, we'll see about that. Fair enough.
Like I mentioned, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, those are the main teams to think about this week. And that leads us into the next segment, which is our players to watch segment, which is called Make the Case. And as you can see, we've picked one player each. We can't pick the same player. We have to make the case. Even if we think that one of the other picks is the better pick, we have to make the case for our player. As you can see, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, we have one player each. I will go first with Phil Foden. I think he's a no-brainer. You have to get him in if you don't have him. Quickly, just at the top right corner, you can see the exempt players. Everyone basically has Haaland, Martinelli, Cancelo as their 3 City, Arsenal players at the moment. So I don't really consider them for this segment. They're obvious. You should probably have all of them. Foden, you can say, is also obvious, but yeah. Salah, most experts have him in. I think in the Content Creators League, he's like 98.1% owned or something. That's really specific, but yeah. Anyways, Foden, it's his breakout year. He's been super good the whole season. He's pretty much rotation proof as well now. It seems like he's a favorite of Pep, finally. They have really easy matches, as you can see from the fixtures. Brighton at home isn't the easiest, but it's pretty easy. Leicester, Fulham, you should be able to score a lot of goals. Brentford, you can easily score a lot of goals against them as well at home, especially Man City, who dominate every single team. The only minus with Foden is that there are so many good City players, so there might be some other player that is more important. Maybe Kevin De Bruyne starts returning after I've sold him now. Potentially, but yeah. You obviously have Haaland and Cancelo, so it's just the 3rd City spot. But I think Foden is a no-brainer for the 3rd City spot. But yeah,
can't agree more. Actually, I think I was talking with you the last week, guys, about Foden, and not only the last week and the week before, when we prepared before we launched the podcast. That even before Foden scores in the last game week, before the blank, I saw this very early. The combination of Foden and the chemistry between Foden and Haaland is really essential. It's really good. It's not gonna stop there. And he's a young player. He's been developing each year under Pep. And I also talked about he is a little bit jealous of Haaland. He's in the same age. He feels like Haaland getting all the attention. He has a point to prove that he is as good as Haaland. So I saw this clearly in the first 2 games of the season when he refused to pass the ball clearly to Haaland. He wants to score. He has more shots on goal and shots on target than the previous season. So I think Foden this season is going to be one of the best seasons for him if you continue in that tempo. So yeah.
Yep. Kevin, you can make the case for Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, just 1 second before we do that. I just wanted to add about Foden. Yep. The very glaring thing about him was he was touted as the El Mago replacement for David Silva, but like Kimo was saying, I have never seen him this selfish in my life. So I know I'm meant to be making the case for my own player here, but hey, if he's super selfish, that's something to consider.
That's good. We love it as a fantasy football manager. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And going to Jesus, I think it is so glaring that this guy is the in-between Haaland and Kane sort of player, where he has 5 goals and 4 assists, which is pretty decent, I guess. But the fact of the matter is, against Leicester, he got 18, 19 points. That should be happening and can happen more frequently with him because he is constantly creating chances with Gabriel Martinelli. Their link-up play, I would argue, is better than Foden and Haaland because Martinelli is not as selfish as Foden is. So I think their link-up play is essential to Jesus playing so well. And I think it's one of the best. It's arguably one of the best in the league because it's fun to watch. I think it's obviously led to a bunch of goals and assists where either Gabriel Martinelli scored and Jesus got the assist or vice versa. And I think Arsenal's upcoming fixtures are relatively easy, especially the next two. And I think there's just so much potential for him to explode. But the, I guess, underlying thing about all of this is he might not explode, but he gets you consistently 6 points, 8 points, 6 points, 4 points, like all this type of stuff. So I think for me, he's a very safe pick, but with a lot of potential.
But just one comment here. Yeah, go ahead, Mathias. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's just both me and you actually, Kimo, we kept Jesus when most people wildcarded him out.
Yes, got rewarded.
And you say got rewarded, but I feel like he should have gotten a lot more points. That's the thing with Jesus as the pros.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say.
Exactly.
If you look at Jesus' historical points, he got 2, 19, 4, 1, 6, 1, 6, 8, 5, 2. So he blanked 4 times out of 12. He blanked twice at the last 5 games, and whenever he delivers, he's around the 7 to the 8 mark. So you want at this point of the season, you want an explosive player, someone like Saka, someone like, I think Martinelli is more essential than Jesus, to be honest, when picking up Arsenal player, because Martinelli is he's a midfield player. He gets points for the clean sheet, he gets more points for scoring goal, he's more explosive in terms of assisting and scoring. But Jesus is consistency. He's a bit safe pick. So this is but the stats is really scary. It's like 2.7 in the expected goals involvement in the last 4 game weeks and all over the season. It's, you never know. But also when you see the upcoming fixtures, Southampton, Nottingham Forest, they are good fixtures. I expect Arsenal to do well, but Chelsea can be a really easy 0-0 or 1-1. You never know who's going to score. Wolverhampton can be really boring. So I am going at the moment with Jesus, but I would just argue I need him to be more explosive. This is the thing. But for me, Martinelli is no brainer in Arsenal.
Yeah, just to touch
I can go Saka.
Yeah, just to touch on the Martinelli point, that's why he's exempt, because most of us have him already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's such a great pick. But it's the thing with Jesus, like if we were allowed to have 4 Arsenal players, Jesus would be 100% nailed in my wildcard draft. At the moment, he's in between. I have to decide between Jesus, Saka, and Gabriel on top of Martinez. Which 3 do I get in total? That's the only thing with Jesus. I've been let down by him. I sort of feel like I should keep him just to have him as a season keeper the whole season. I feel like he has mega potential. Like Kevin said, he should be somewhere around the Kane, not Haaland level, but he should be somewhere around the Kane level in terms of scoring. But he's not. He hasn't been so far. But he has the potential to be. It's just previous seasons. That's my case against him. Is this isn't new with Jesus. We've seen this with City as well. He's been really wasteful at times. He gets a lot of chances, but he's really wasteful. I love the guy, but he makes me a bit uneasy, especially with Saka. Potentially, I could triple up with Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli, but there's also Gabriel or Saliba in defense. So the only thing with Jesus, wasteful, and you only have 3 Arsenal spots. So
but he never was explosive. Historically, when he was in City, he was not that explosive. Very rarely, when he got the chance, that he scored like a hat-trick or 2 goals.
He did a couple times, but
a couple of times, but not like consistency. He has a problem consistency of getting holes into the FPL. But we'll see. I like him so much. I hope from God's he's in my team. I hope that he will score some holes against Southampton. And Jesus and the gods can be a good connection, so he can get me some points against Southampton or Nottingham Forest. So I'll move to my man.
You can make the case for Darwin.
The theory of Darwin. It's a pretty easy. I was thinking of going someone differential at Liverpool, but it's not going to be the case since Jota and the other guy, Luis Diaz, are injured. So it's going to be between Salah is going to be most of the teams. It's going to be between Firmino and Darwin Núñez. But looking at the stats, just like 2.05 in the expected goals involvement in the last 4 game weeks, really, really high. 3 big chances is the same as Foden, and 2 less than Jesus. Shots in the box is the average. But I was on Twitter somewhere on Sky Sports or something. We're doing like a stats for Darwin Núñez in the Premier League in that season per 90 minutes. So shots in the box, or like shots in general, he's 6.9, the first top of the table. Touches in the opponent box, he's top in the table, 10.7. He's number 1. That was before yesterday's game, so I think it got more better. Percentage touches in the opposition box, 38.2, the first in the Premier League. Non-penalty expected goals, 0.9, the first in the Premier League. So in terms of stats as a striker, he's the number 1. He's so consistent in terms of having an underlying stats. He's a bit selfish. We've seen that a lot in the last 2 games. He doesn't pass to Salah, so he's making Egypt. He's making Egypt and the Egyptians a bit angry at him. But also, when it comes to yesterday games,
West Ham,
against West Ham, he had really terrifying stats. 3 shots on target. He hit the woodwork once, which was so annoying because I had him in my team. He has 5 shots in total, 24 touches. So really, really good stats. If they manage to retain the real Liverpool in the next 2 games against Nottingham and against Leeds, which they are good fixtures in terms of expected goals conceded to both teams, that will be a good differential. He's not really highly owned as in the beginning of the season. Tottenham against Liverpool is also a fixture which known for historically goal festival. Southampton as well. Liverpool really is determined to do well historically against Southampton. So yeah, I'll pick him. I never thought twice. I don't want Salah in my team, so Darwin is the man to go for. Anything against it?
It's just like you explained, his substitution in the 58th minute yesterday was purely because of the injury. I guess he's more
I think
nailed
he'll be
now.
fine. I guess
he's more nailed now. It's just again, do you want to go with him? Do you want to go with Salah? Do you want to double up on Liverpool with Salah and Darwin?
No,
it feels a bit much, even though they play Forest and Leeds. It's just really good fixtures.
You never know which Liverpool was going to show up. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's just that he gets big chances, but he misses them quite a lot so far. I'm not so sure. Like he's a good pick. I'm considering him for my wildcard, but if you have a transfer, there are better picks like Foden or even the Arsenal players that you need to get in before him. So you're in a tough spot with the 3rd pick anyway. But I think Darwin is definitely a good shout anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Mathias.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you have any thoughts against Darwin, except that you're an Everton fan?
Yeah, I mean, apart from Liverpool being terrible, I think the thing that I can say about Darwin is his temperament is a bit of an issue, because even in yesterday's game, he was getting worked up over really random things. So
yeah, he's a young guy.
He is a young guy, and he is a world-class striker in the making. Yeah. And I think, especially at his time in Benfica, I thought he was absolutely incredible in the Champions League. I mean, there's a reason why Liverpool bought him is because he had such great performances against them. And I think, generally speaking, it is a good shout. I think he's a differential. It is a good shout. The only thing that I'm scared about, I guess, if I were to bring him in, is he nailed? Because they could choose to be more defensively.
He is so nailed.
And the thing that you said there, which is the very key thing, you yourself just said it, which was, which Liverpool is the Liverpool that shows up?
Yeah, but can you ignore all the upcoming fixtures for Liverpool? If you would repeat again, you would definitely go to buy Liverpool against Fulham,
which is why, even though he's exempt, which is why a bunch of us went for Salah, right? Like that's why I didn't just bring in Salah just because of this game week against West Ham, even though he usually scores against West Ham. It's because Liverpool do have the fixtures, definitely. But
you want a player who can score goals, or like in a team who can score goals. So if you look at the stats for the forwards this season, actually in terms of expected goals, it's only Tony, Kane, Haaland, Wilson are over him, and in terms of the goal attempts, it's only Kane and Tony who are higher than him. So and he has like a high amount of shots inside the box. So Tony has 13, Kane has 17. Wilson and Nunez has 10. So you want a striker who gets every shot in the box on target. So he's delivering. But yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've all made our case. I'm opening it up to the viewers now. You can write in the comment section. You can write in the comment section who do you think made the best case for their player? Which player do you think is the best to bring in? You guys can even reveal if you'd pick Foden over your own pick if you want to. I think.
Well, we all know that Foden won this, but you know what? I'll back Jesus all the way.
I meant it's embarrassing for the next one. I'm gonna make my case. It's gonna be so embarrassing. So we'll see right now.
Yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, those are just like the most essential players to get in. We'll go with if you're on a wildcard like me and Kimo, you might be looking for some differentials. That's what we're gonna discuss right now. And again, I have the.
Don't look at the stats. Yeah.
Yeah, the expected stats for Gordon is not the best, but we'll get
Stop
to that
making
later.
fun of the Everton player, please. Stop.
Yeah, you guys will both make the case for Gordon. I'll be the opposing. I'll take on the tough task of going against Gordon and his magnificent stats. But yeah, I'll first talk about my first pick. Obviously, I have the advantage of having the #1 pick, and I've chosen my own player, Scamacca. I say my own player because I'm a West Ham fan, but. As a West Ham fan, I know Scamacca scored in his last 2 home games. 3 out of his 4 next games are at home. Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, and Leicester at home. He can easily score a lot of goals. He's shown, as you can see in the statistics, that he's in the box. He gets big chances, and he should be getting more points. He's been a bit wasteful so far, but his finishing, especially with his feet, is impeccable. So even with a lower XG, I think he can score more goals because his finishing is just
look at the chances created. Oh my god, really good.
He's super good. He's central. He's the only thing with West Ham is you never know if Antonio's going to play, but Scamacca was brought in for a lot of money. It seems like David Moyes is actually trusting in him now. He played 90 minutes against Liverpool, even though Antonio came on. I think he's nailed.
I think he'll play.
I think he could have scored a lot more goals in the previous games, and he had some tough games. Now he has some easier fixtures. So he's just he's also pretty cheap as well for striker. So he is currently, I'll reveal that now. He's currently in my wildcard draft, and I think he's gonna stay. I'm just gonna back my guy. I'm a big fan of both West Ham and Italy, so Scamacca is just the perfect perfect choice for me. You're Italy fan as well, I know. Kevin is not as fond of Italy, but that's pretty much the case for Scamacca. I think he's a really good differential option as a striker. I've listed rotation risk as the minus. The other minus is that you only have 3 forward spots. So for Kevin, for example, who has Haaland, Wilson, and Tony, making a transfer from one of them to Scamacca might not be the first thing he does, but I think Scamacca can do a lot of good the next few game weeks. But he can make his case for Eberechi Eze.
But just before we move to Eze, I'm a Milan fan, as we mentioned in the beginning. So I know Scamacca well from Sassuolo. He scored again against Milan before, so I know him from the Serie A or like Serie A. We say Serie A in Norwegian. I know him from Serie A, and he was a really good player. Scored against Milan. Really, really caught my eye from the first moment. And he's really clinical. This is what you need as a striker. So this is what you want from him.
I think the goal against Milan is like the best goal from his highlights, if I'm not mistaken, where he just shoots from outside the box, top corner.
Don't remind me.
Really good goal. He just scored against Milan. Just it's perfect.
It was the last season when we needed to win the league. So I was really upset. But love him as a player. Can't argue. He's really good, really clinical. If West Ham do good, he will do good. So we'll see.
Yep, Kevin.
I guess, I mean, Mathias knows that I've been Scamacca's biggest fan since West Ham signed him, that I said from the get-go, yes, I know I'm teasing a little bit with the Antonio jokes, but at the same time, I was genuinely serious in the fact that Scamacca is a really good striker. My only issue with West Ham, generally speaking, is they're a bit inconsistent. Like sometimes they are, sometimes maybe good, sometimes, maybe terrible. And I think that's the only thing that scared me from owning Scamacca. But there's he's just such a better finisher than Antonio in so many ways than one. Like Antonio will shoot it straight at the goalkeeper. This guy will get a top bins every time if he wants to, sort of thing. Like I don't see many strikers in the Premier League. For example, Jesus is not as clinical as Kamaka, and that's such high praise for, you know, a player that hasn't really been starting games and stuff. But now he's definitely nailed. I think David Moyes will get lynched if he doesn't play Skamaka.
And just one thing for the people who have Solanke, you can pay 1 more million and get an upgrade to Sakamaka. So Solanke cost exactly 5.8, and you can upgrade 1 million more and go for Sakamaka. It's a huge difference. Don't laugh about the name. I'll next Sakamaka.
Sakamaka.
Yes.
Sakamaka.
We'll get some Italians as a guest for us, and I will definitely meet my Italian friends tomorrow at work and ask them how to pronounce it. And
Saka and Xhaka play for Arsenal, so
yeah.
And lots of
see about that. Yeah.
Just before we move to SA, I forgot to mention the exempt part of this. Basically, we are targeting players who are owned by less than 10% among the entire player base, and like we mentioned with Solanke, players that are owned by less than 20% in the content creator league. If you go to FPLGameweek.com, you can go to the content creator league and look at the statistics for players owned. Solanke is not really that big of a differential in terms of the experts league, the content creators league, so that's why he's one of the exempt players. But yeah, SA is not, and that's Kevin's case. So make the case for him.
But yeah, absolutely. A huge surprise. Sakamaka is owned by 2%, so it's really low ownership in terms of
100%. I think the case to make with Eze is this is his, I personally believe, will be his breakout year. He has been in Crystal Palace and the Premier League for 3 years now. 1 year last year completely wasted due to injuries. Obviously not a fault of his own, but obviously it started raising questions about him and his fitness levels and whether he actually has the capability to be in the Premier League. The last 3 weeks, I think he has 23 points, where in 2 of them he got 10-point hauls because he scored in both games. And I think this is the time to bring him in. He's got good fixtures. He's running hot. He is constantly all over the shop in terms of just spraying the ball to the right players, making the right run, dribbling past players. The confidence is obviously there. Crystal Palace have some of the easiest fixtures, if not the best fixtures.
They have the best,
they have the best
in terms of the difficult rating.
I mean, totally agree. You can talk about Patrick Vieira's sort of game plans and stuff like that they haven't looked the best attackingly, but when they do score, it's thanks to Eze and Zaha, and I think it's a relatively cheap differential to have at 5.6. Where,
and it's actually, if you are playing the game as a gamble, and if you want to take risks, everybody is going towards Zaha, which is me included. And it's really smart move to move to Eze, which he's doing really good. He's a talented player, amazing player to watch, and his feet on the ball are really wonderful to see. So he scored, he assisted in the last few weeks, and it's not bad. It's really cool. I would consider it myself if I get like to downgrade Zaha to Eze and use the money somewhere else. I wouldn't mind doing that. So really good.
Just on that, Kimo, like you said, you'd have him instead of Zaha. Would you consider having Zaha and Eze, 2 Palace offensive players, or is it simply just a replacement for Zaha for less?
We'll come to my wildcard team later. I really have a spot that it's annoying me, which is Trossard, but I hate to be that kind of player who really wants to own a player, and once I get him, he doesn't deliver, and then I sell him right away. So I learned among the season, so I don't want to do that. It would be a really cool idea. The thing is, you would struggle who to play if you are. Most of us who are activating their wildcard, and most of the managers right now are using 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 as a formation. You cannot play for defenders in the next period of the season. So you will play with more attacking players. So if I double up on Zaha and Eze, who do I bench? It will give me a headache. Would I bench Darwin? Would I bench Jesus? Would I bench Holland?
No.
That's the thing. No, so yeah, I will just get rid of the headache, pick one of them, done and dusted.
That's my case against Eze and pretty much Gordon too. Like these midfielders who are worth like 5.4, 5.6, they're most likely just going to be benched anyway. So you might as well just have Andreas Pereira, save yourself the money, is my thinking. But Eze has shown that he, like you said, as a replacement for Zaha, I'm considering it because he's shown the last 4 game weeks that he can produce about the same points as Zaha.
And you can climb up ranks really easily if he scores on Zaha blanks.
Definitely, and he has good underlying numbers and everything. So it's not a bad shout. It's just the price point. I'm not sure if I'd invest that much in like the backup player. Pretty much.
I have Trossard as my 5th midfielder, by the way.
I think another point that I have to actually add, as someone who's now more, this is the thing I hate about teams like Crystal Palace. I would never ever watch them otherwise, but because they have the good fixtures and because I have players invested in and all this type of stuff, I'm obviously watching a lot more Crystal Palace games. I think the thing that I've noticed, especially with Eze, is the fact that when Zaha is playing, they send 2-3 guys trying to defend him and all this stuff, which creates a lot of space for Elise, who I really like as well, but I don't think he's sort of woken up in the way Eze has, but I definitely think has a lot of potential. But it leaves a lot of space for Eze to operate, which is why he's creating so many chances. I mean, 7 chances created in the last 4 games.
It's really much. But
good,
Crystal Palace is not the team that scores 3 or 4 goals. That's only one thing.
And that, of course, is my biggest issue with considering bringing him in as well, when I already know Zaha is going to take the penalties and all this type of stuff.
Okay.
So
well, we should move on. We're
make your case for Gordon.
90 minutes. I'll make my case for Jordan right away. It's nothing other than he is owned by around 2%, and I like to have a switch, fixture swing, and jump up on a player really early. One great FPL manager did that some weeks ago, and his name is Magnus Carlson. And I think he plays really advanced up forward with Calvert-Lewin. Now he's back, so Everton will be more offensive in the next fixtures. And he can nick up something. There is no stats as support other than he's cheap. He has already scored 2 goals in the last 8 game weeks. Not the biggest stats, but I just think that he is the backup that should be on the bench. Either him or Eze. They can score. Look at the fixture: Crystal Palace, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, one of the worst defense in the league. So
I mean, you don't have the numbers to back you up lately, but looking back at the first 4 game weeks of the season, he actually had really good underlying numbers when he faced easier teams. So now that he has better fixtures, he might turn his fortunes around. We know he's the number 10 for Everton. He's the star man. Kevin wasn't a huge fan a couple of years ago, but he's a big fan now.
I mean, Kevin, you're an Everton fan.
Kevin can touch more on this with Calvert-Lewin coming back and everything. So Kevin, you're an Everton fan. So what do you think about Gordon going forward?
I think, especially the fact that Calvert-Lewin is back. You saw that their link-up play was something that was missing from our attack and all this type of stuff. So I think with Gordon, I think Gordon had a shout for the penalty because it was a double-fisted push in the back, which would have been an assist for him if he had gotten it. Obviously, it went to the whole, he got a yellow because of dissent and all this type of stuff. But I definitely think that there is a shout for Anthony Gordon, because one of the things that people forget about differentials and stuff like that is the fact that they're the forgotten men as well in that regard. They're differentials. Absolutely. So I think absolutely Anthony Gordon's injuries are gone. He was sick for a little bit. Now that's gone too. Calvert-Lewin is back. We have a decent run of fixtures. Tarkowski and Cody, I can't praise them enough, because if we didn't have them, we would have lost the game against Newcastle like 7-0. I'm not even joking. Like we would have 1,000. Yes, I understand it's Brexit ball, like the most English of English defenders that we could have gone, but it's shored up the defense massively, and I think it will then sort of emulate into us being able to attack better because we got Anthony Gordon back. We have Calvert-Lewin back. It's going to be a couple of nice home games against Leicester, who we usually get some decent results against. Bournemouth, Everton is notoriously known for high scoring games. And I think Crystal Palace, notoriously known for them dunking on us, but we do score goals. So yeah, I think when we're meeting sort of same-minded, same sort of stature teams, which is really, really sad to say, considering the fact that Everton used to be a top 7, top 8 sort of, the Everton Cup is, we used to be really good in that regard. So for us to get back there, we need to start playing well, and these are the fixtures to do so.
Yep.
Wildcard.
So we all made our case. This is for the wildcard differential. Speaking of wildcards, we're going to do our weekly wildcard drafts. So we start with a blank slate, no players picked, but I have the first pick, and it's an obvious pick, not just because I'm Norwegian, but because he's the main man to have an FPL this season. Haaland, I don't need to give any reasons really, so I'll just move forward. Kevin had the second pick. He, just so we're clear, we've already picked this team. That's why we have the graphic ready, of course. So I'm just going to go through the players, and I'll ask you to elaborate if I have any questions about them. Cancelo, no questions about it. Just bringing him.
I have a question about Cancelo. Did you guys have him against Southampton?
Stop it. Yeah. Foden as well. Again, our first 3 picks are all City players. Those are the players to get in. Kimo,
let's cross fingers, they will do good.
Yeah, Foden, no-brainer. I picked Martinelli as my first Arsenal guy. He's just so cheap. Like I said previously, I think he's been the best winger in the league this season. He's super good. He showed that against Liverpool as well. Brilliant player. So no reason not to have him. Kevin picked Jesus, which is you already made the case for him already. It's between Jesus and Saka for some, maybe a defender. But yeah, he makes sense. Bowen, I'll actually open it up for Kimo. We haven't really talked much about Bowen so far. So Kimo, why did you pick Bowen with this pick as the first player, not from City or Arsenal?
Yeah, I'll be really quick because we need to do like a less than 2 hours first episode, so people cannot sleep with us in the first one. But yeah, pretty short is he wants to go to the World Cup. He was in the squad with Gareth Southgate some time ago. He's really determined. He showed really underlying stats, and then recently he missed a penalty against Liverpool, I know. But that's another reason to pick him up. He wants to make this up. He wants to be in the squad, and he's really playing with like a strange determination. He has a point to prove. You know what I mean? So I think West Ham is doing really good recently, and yeah, nothing to say than that to back it by a good stats. He has the highest expected goals involvement among midfielders with 3.6, which is really hard. It's nearby Holland at its best. And also he has 13 goal attempts, 10 shots inside the box, 5 shots on target, big chances created, not so much in the last 4, but recently he does really good. I would have said he's on penalties, but yeah, he's not anymore. I think Sakamaka will take it from him. Yeah,
we will see. But yeah, those stats are from the last 4 games, correct?
But he's a no-brainer for me. Never once thought that he would be out of my World Cup.
But yeah, the stats you listed were from the last 4 game weeks, right?
Yeah.
So 3.6 XGI is really
hard,
good.
Really hard.
Yeah. Skamaka, I'm doubling up on West Ham. I'm grabbing an opportunity. I've made a case for him already. He might be a penalty taker, like you said as well. I didn't mention that earlier. He's taken 5 penalties in his career, scored every single one of them. So maybe he's the next penalty taker for West Ham as we search for another penalty taker. Here we go. Kevin, Anthony. We haven't mentioned Man United almost, and we haven't mentioned Anthony at all. Why did you pick Anthony?
Yeah, well, prior to us starting all this, we did a test run, and Anthony at the time had scored in every game and should have scored against Spurs. He did the most Arjen Robben thing in the world, cut to his left, hit the outside of the post. I like seeing this guy play football. I think Ten Hag knows how to get the best out of him, obviously, at his time at Ajax. United, generally speaking, maybe their fixtures aren't the best, but Anthony has shown he's very fixture proof. Yeah, he's just scored against all the big teams and probably will continue to do so. So
and they had a really good performance against Spurs. So he's a really good pick as well.
He hit the woodwork as well.
Yeah. Kimo, we talked about
Zaha.
We don't really need to mention him. I picked Trippier, who's also clear pick, no brainer. Had him all season, gonna have him all season. Kevin picked Gabriel as the final Arsenal player. We didn't have any Arsenal spots. We didn't have any midfielder or attacking spots left. So Gabriel or Saliba, whatever you choose, you can go with. He makes sense as a final Arsenal pick. Kimo, you wanted Raya as your goalkeeper. I know the goalkeeper has been a bit of an issue for you.
We'll talk about that when we come to my wildcard team. But yeah, he's the one I picked. He's the best goalkeeper to the next 4 game weeks. Yeah.
I made the case for West Ham defense earlier, so I'm going to back my guy, Thilo Kehrer, who's been really good for West Ham. The West Ham fans love him. He's nailed. He showed against Liverpool he can score. He's really good. And the final 2 picks, Neko and Ward, whatever, they're bench fodder. We don't really need to talk about them. So this is our wildcard drafts. We drafted them in order of importance, so you can make note of who we picked first. That's probably the players you should target first as well. So that's the weekly wildcard draft. We'll do another one next week with different picks. But now we're going to move on to our Gameweek 13 plans. I'm going to open up with my team, which is a wildcard team.
Yeah.
So I've actually gone with Salah in this draft of my team. I've also made, like Kimo mentioned earlier, I've made the decision to go with 3 defenders only, Neko and Bueno on the bench. Salah is the biggest question for me. Should I invest so much for Salah?
Why? Tell me.
It's the fixtures. The next 2 fixtures are really, really, really good. You've made a case for Darwin, but I think Salah is way more of a nailed, or not even nailed, but more of a sure thing than Darwin. Even for the price difference, I think Salah is really good. But yeah, like I said, I haven't had him in all of my wildcard drafts so far. Saka is the one I'm struggling with the most. I really want to have Saka. I'm considering having triple up on Arsenal attackers, or I might drop Jesus. Who knows? If I drop Jesus, I have 2 good options in Darwin and Tony.
Oh, you'll make me think. Oh my God.
We've talked about these guys before. Tony is really good. I sort of made the case against him with Aston Villa and Fulham playing defensively and not getting a lot of goals in the games. So
yeah, Fulham are shit. Yeah.
I might just stay away from him. I have Skamaka. The triple City is obvious. Triple Arsenal I need to figure out. And I've also gone with Raya as a goalkeeper. That's also a decision for me. Raya, Sanchez, or Guaita. I just think Brentford have good. Like I said, they play Wolverhampton and Fulham. Or Wolverhampton and Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, yeah.
Who don't score many goals. So Raya
and also he got a total of 20 points in the last 2 game weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's basically, I just got to make a decision on Salah and triple Arsenal. That's the most pressing part.
He's becoming the new pop.
Yeah. That's my team. I have Saha and Martinelli, the players we talked about.
I like it. The only thing, you made me think twice about having Salah. He has scored a lot of goals against Leeds.
Against Nottingham Forest, against newly promoted sides, he's always super good.
That's
except for Bournemouth when they won 9-0 and did nothing. But that's an aberration.
I'll touch on that. But other than that, really, really good team. I like Bueno, Andreas. So they're not gonna play.
That's my wildcard. We'll move on to Kevin, who does not have a wildcard, and he has not that many City or Arsenal players, which is interesting. Talk about your plans. You can see one player that I've made a case for. So Kevin,
I regret not having a wild card at this point, because I see all the delicious players that you guys are bringing in, and I'm here sat just like I get Foden, and that's like the only and quite frankly most obvious move that I can make, because he is just so in form. I mean, City, just generally speaking, are so in form, and you can argue that they were unlucky not to get anything against Liverpool as well. I think Brighton, like Holland at home as well, he just keeps scoring hat tricks and all this type of stuff. It's the right time to triple up on City. And I think in terms of everyone else, I think Mount can do something against Man United, so I won't freak out and just immediately drop him, because for me an obvious move would be Foden and Saka in, because I think Saka obviously takes penalties for Arsenal and he's a very streaky player as well. But other than that, there's not much I can really do. I think it's just about playing it smart, not going too much minus, and just take it easy.
Yeah.
Last game week, you got so lucky, Kevin, with going without Arsenal players, because me and Matthias had Martinelli and Jesus, and we really hope to catch up on
Game week 11,
terms of and they didn't score button. So again, you're going potentially without any Arsenal players in the next week, and me and Matthias are hoping that
loading up on them.
Me and Matthias had a discussion about this. It was just simply this: do I feel that Arsenal's next game is better than City's next game? And the answer is no. So that's why.
No, absolutely. I understand. It's the thing is, if I were you, I would sell Mount and I would keep Trossard. The reason is Mount this season is doing really bad.
Yeah.
Trossard has a higher chance to score against City than Mount has a higher chance to score against United.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. We'll see.
Anyways,
I will remind you.
We'll see.
The Zerbi against Guardiola might be a game with a lot of goals, but we'll see.
I mean, sadly for Kevin, he doesn't have it.
We'll talk about it next Wednesday.
Kevin is 0.1 away from getting Saka for Mount and Foden for Trossard, sadly. Yeah. But as I've just realized, you don't have Martinelli, so you can easily go to Martinelli with one of these guys. So that's another option for you for next, or either this week or next week, I think. You can get Martinelli for Trossard and Foden for Mount.
And that was the planning. Instead of going minus, I can just do one transfer each week, which would then be the Arsenal and City coverage that I want.
Yeah.
The Pop to Raya thing is really tricky. It's either you pray to gods that Pope is gonna do a historical game against Spurs and end up with like 10 saves and 2 bonus or something like that, or you can sell Pope and get Raya, as you potentially is going to do, and
exactly,
and hope that you keep a clean sheet and then you will get your -4 back. So it's not a bad move. I've done this a lot of times among the years, just to, when I have like my keeper, I'm fed up with my keeper and I know he's not gonna get a clean sheet, so sell it was -4, target one was a good fixture, get me a clean sheet, get my money back, and so on. So I understand.
Yeah, I think that's mostly a cost cutting move for Kevin, but well, we can talk about the Tottenham thing.
Holland captain, no brainer. You're not gonna change.
Yeah, everyone's gonna captain Holland.
Okay. Everyone in the world, everyone in the history, everyone in the universe is gonna captain Holland. So
I'm not sure about Spurs, especially after the last game, but we'll talk about that in a different podcast. But for now, we'll just look at Kimo's Gaming 30 plans. This is the final.
Okay, I'll read it again. You guys should also. Again, when we record the future
next time
for the
definitely.
ones who listen to on Spotify or so on. I have Raya on goal. I have Cancelo, Trippier, Perisic, Foden, Boyan, Zaha, Martinelli, Jesus, Darwin, Holland captain, Kepa Arrizabalaga in the bench as a goalkeeper, Trossard, Bueno, 3.9, really cheap and good defender from Wolves. He did also got an assist and really nice cross to Adama Traore the last game. I have Nico Williams. So the only dilemma, or like one of the only dilemmas, is I'm really not satisfied with Perisic. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of minutes, Conte might change up in the next games. He might play Ryan Sessegnon and so on. Perisic, I really had high hopes from him in the last few game weeks. I thought he would get me much more points than he got me already. So that position, I'm not really sure. Again, there's not so many attractive defenders to bring. Southampton can score against Arsenal, and I might think of Gabriel or Saliba. I wish if Zinchenko was not injured, I would have really got him. But again, not so many good defenders to bring on. I really don't care, but that's the only dilemma I have right now. Jordan might be on for Trossard if I want to upgrade somewhere else. But I really want to give Trossard a good chance, and also might be benching Boyan against United and play Trossard the game after. So I'm gonna captain, of course, Holland against Brighton. You also convinced me, Matthias, a little bit. If I sell Darwin and bring Salah, and I can bring Sakamaka, so it might be something.
You'll just copy my team, yeah.
No, not copying your team. It's the thing is, if I had Liverpool and Salah in terms of the last season form, I would definitely not think twice. Have Salah, and I might even had captained him. But with the Liverpool's unstable period right now, and also Klopp is back again at the really, I don't know what is he trying to do to put Salah to the wing in the beginning of the West Ham game. Again, when he really knew that Salah is not comfortable playing there, and he showed up against City playing as a striker or something like the last seasons. It was playing really good. So I don't know which formation Klopp is going to put. So Darwin for me in terms of stats and going as a differential low ownership is a pick, but Salah can punish me so bad. I think I might give it another thought, because also downgrading changing between Darwin and Salah and getting Sekamaka is a good option as a West Ham striker. So I don't want to sell Boyne. This is the thing. I'm really convinced that he's gonna outscore Sekamaka. Boyne can be explosive. We've seen in the last season he can score 12, 14, and so on. And I think he will make up his penalty that he missed. He wanna prove himself. He had like a good chance yesterday when he played the ball to Thomas Sosik. If you've seen that chance, it was so close. Yeah, it was really dangerous. So, yeah, this is me for now.
I mean, you could always triple up on West Ham or double up on West Ham. There's nothing wrong with that. So, like we did in the weekly wildcard draft.
That's embarrassing.
Never done that and never will.
What you should do, this is my biggest thing. It's not even Salah. It's just you have 2 Arsenal players. You should get a 3rd Arsenal player. I would even have Saka over Saha, or Bowen even. If I had the Arsenal spot, you only have 2 Arsenal players.
One thing here. We're heading up against a period where there will be some games in the midweek, if I'm correct.
I mean, there's always Champions League and stuff, but
so the thing is, sorry about that.
Or Europa League, sorry, Arsenal.
No, but I mean the thing is that I'm afraid, because Arsenal are on the top right now, and Arteta can show some defensive 1-0 games, and he can be satisfied of just nicking up the goal, playing more defensively, playing more cautious. This is the scenario I'm afraid of tripling up on Arsenal in attack. It can be similar. Leeds should have won that game against Arsenal. So Arsenal really played as I call it, like the champion personality. They won the game. They played really terrible. So I'm afraid of a repetitive scenario of 1-0 or like almost 2-1. So I'm not sure. But Saka is a good pick, can be a good differential, and Martinelli is really highly owned. The thing is, when Martinelli scores, he's at everyone's team. This is the thing. So if I decide to go crazy, I might do it actually to go Saka instead of Martinelli. So, but he showed nothing wrong for me. He can punish me so bad, and all the 100,000 ranks that I climbed, I can go down really easy if I don't have Martinelli. So
yeah, that's fair enough. Kevin, do you have any other thoughts? Kevin,
I mean, just looking at the team, I think it's very, very good. It's just the question of whether you're going to downgrade Trossard or not.
No, I want Trossard. I want to play
You're
him.
that dead sure that he's gonna.
No, I might actually play him and bench Zaha one of the games. It's not like I must play Zaha all the games. He can be on my bench, and you never know. It's a festive period before the World Cup. Might be some game in the Champions League and the Europa League and the other one that's called Conference League or something. You might have one player who's not showing up. I don't want Bueno coming up from my bench or Nico Williams. I want someone good. So
yeah, but in that case, wouldn't you want to then make Martinelli Saka, who's on penalties, and then bringing Gordon, for example, who you know who is going to play?
I might do that, or bring Eze. So
cool. Yeah, excellent.
Nice.
See.
We'll see. But it's interesting. I'm really satisfied that I freshened up my team. I'm so happy that I got Cancelo and Foden. That's gonna be an upgrade. It's so nice feeling to have Cancelo and Foden in my team. I cannot explain it. Ryan, the goal, by the way, I promised to talk about him. He got like whenever he gets a clean sheet, he gets 10 points. Whenever he gets a clean sheet, 10 points. So he's a bonus magnet, and they have a good fixtures. Aston Villa doesn't score that much. Typical that next game Aston Villa will score, but logically I made the logic choice. He's the best goalkeeper, and the reason that I have Kepa is when I feel it's a fixture. When I'm not comfortable to play Raya, I would definitely think about Kepa Arrizabalaga. Yeah, he's 4.4, doesn't cost me that much, and I would have a new wild card in 4 game weeks. So
yeah, fair enough. I think that just about wraps it up in terms of our all of our content really. We're gonna do this weekly. We've filmed this on a Thursday, but we're gonna film each Wednesday from now on before every game week. Obviously, if there's a midweek game week, we can film earlier. We'll cover every single game week from now until the season. That's the goal, at least.
Yeah.
We'll all improve, I'm sure, throughout many podcasts.
Come with new ideas.
One of the improvements we'll have is that we'll have an outro slide next time where we have more on the info about what we do. The thing I haven't mentioned that have been throughout most of our slides is like you join our mini league. You see the league code up there in the corner. And you can also start following us on different social media platforms, which is Kevin's line of work. Kevin has worked for UEFA as a social media manager, actually. So he has a lot of expertise on this area. So yeah, Kevin, talk more about our...
You guys didn't mention that you studied journalism.
I mentioned that I went to study journalism in London at the starting early part, but yeah, Kevin, social media, where can you find us?
Yeah, so you can find us both on, or all three, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course we'll eventually expand all of that, and you can find it at FPLScope.
Yeah, just write the logo on the left, but yeah.
At FPLScope. Yeah,
we'll make a slide for it in the next time and make it more obvious. But it was really fun, and also I enjoyed so much the first episode.
Yeah, and like Kimo alluded to, Spotify. This first episode is probably just going out on YouTube just to test it out, and then eventually we'll move on to more platforms. Hopefully, even next week we'll do more platforms.
We'll have a better time when we'll try to Wednesdays.
Yeah, we'll try to accommodate people who don't really watch the screen that much. People have it in the background. I know from personal experience watching FPL content or listening to FPL content, and I don't always watch. So we're going to make more of an effort to tell you more about what's on the screen as well in terms of our teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll all improve 100%.
Yeah,
this is our first go around. I think it's been a delightful conversation with both of you. I couldn't have asked to have two better co-hosts than you guys. You
Thank
guys both know that I appreciate you guys a lot, and
I need to give you a shout out also for doing most of the graphics. No, you really deserve it. It took you a lot of time, but it's been a pleasure, and it's a good night from me.
Yeah, good night. Thank you for watching. If you followed us all this time, good night. See ya.
Good night.
Please like and subscribe.
Definitely. That's the final part. We'll get better at promoting ourselves.
You leave that to be the next.
Do all that things. Share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We'll have that in the outro next time. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.